Welcome, everybody. My name is Chris Septing. I'm an author and a journalist, and we are joined today by the one and only Tyrus. Tyrus, how are you?
Maintaining, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Hey, first of all, congratulations on your book. I had the honor and privilege of helping you work on your brand new book called Just Tyrus, but it's very much your voice, your stories, your life, your book. And we're going to get to it as part of this live signing right now. If you don't know what a live signing is, right now you're here at premiercollectibles.com/Tyrus. You can order a signed copy of this book signed by Tyrus today. It's a great way to get one for yourself, to get a gift. Tyrus, how does it feel? You and I have been working on this for about a year and a half now. What is it like to finally hold this book in your hands after all the work?
I guess the word is, and I never really understood it until now with these process. It's difficult to like, hey, I'm going to write a book, and then okay, and it's not as easy as just you see on the TV where someone just starts going. I mean, good, but it's a process, and then or something about yourself, because you're kind of like reliving your life from a different perspective of your movie. So when you're playing back, and it's almost like you're in your microphone in your memory, trying to convey them. And a lot of times you tend to be like, wow, I never ran to you. So it's really I recommend that everyone at some point in their life, if not a book, at least something in retrospect about being brutally honest with yourself. I think is good for.
Well, you know, one of the first people, if not the very first person to read the book was your friend and really kind of mentor at Fox News, Dana Perino, who you talk about in the book and how she sort of helped you acclimate at Fox. If I could read what Dana wrote after just reading the book, it's on the back of the book. It says, "I loved Just Tyrus. I read it in one day and cheered for him when I got to the end. Tyrus has written a book that is at once raw, tender, intelligent, candid, and hilarious. Tyrus took a very rough start to his life and used perseverance, confident humility, and accountability to land firmly on his feet. What a triumph." Dana Perino, former White House press secretary to George W. Bush and Fox News anchor and host. She really, I mean, subsequently other people are coming out strongly, you know, really loving your book, but she really set a tone with that. I know you respect her a lot. How did it feel when you got that feedback from Dana Perino, Tyrus?
The tender part, I was like, I've never described myself as there, but it was difficult when to read your book and then give you an opinion on it. The thing about Dana is that he's not going to sugarcoat anything. No, I can't support this or work or etc. Because that's I respect so much about her. So for her to write that was humbling, and that she felt. And I've been, because you're like this book. It's got I'm look, and you get yourself to somebody. It's like you're naked, literally. So you know me, never me, and so that she read it and she loved it. So my mentor was pleased with the book and liked it. Much she was willing to write a wrote a blurb. That was just truly gift, you could say, because that.
Well, but Tyrus, you say that when she said the word tender, you didn't equate that with yourself. And again, your reputation, your image in a large part is being tough and funny, very quick. Yet in working with you, I got to see a lot of that, a sensitivity and a vulnerability that maybe a lot of people don't get to see. And you go pretty deep in your book down that line. I mean, I remember at one point you and I were talking in the process of writing the book, and you love raising tropical fish. You have a very deep, connection with the fish that you raise. And a couple of them had perished during the course of our conversations. And you and I got to talk to one day, and you talked about one of your favorite movies being Mr. Limpet, the 1964 film starring Don Knotts, and that connection that you've got with fish. And I remember seeing this whole other side to you, and that they really talk about that a little bit. Remember that conversation about Mr. Limpet? And how you began describing that side of you. That was the first I got to see it. And it really did sort of, reveal a whole different side of you.
For one, I mean, that movie came on Los Angeles on Sundays. I think it was like at 5 o'clock. It was like we got to see before you had to go to bed before stay. And it was just about that movie that he was able to. He had the same affliction for fish, and at the time, I didn't really have really young, but it stuck with me. And as I grew, fascination with things just kept going on. But back when I was older, as a teenager, when I was having my fish, a lot of it had to do with, like, it was a great escape for him. Like, I mean, his wasn't very good, and he was kind of an oddball, and his friends, thought he was weird. He was accepted in the fish world. Eventually, decision whether he returned to his life as a human being or to become a fish, and he chose to be that was really important in terms of, like, sometimes things that's best for everyone, you have to make decisions that's best for you. So that's what, but it's just an amazing hobby, and I enjoy it, and I learned. It's like you're basically in charge. It's a lot of responsibility because oxygen that their environment and their world is optimum, and you want to be peaceful and happy and be able to grow and breed and all. Wild, I have really large fish tanks. Study them as much scientific information I can get on something you just like a goldfish check on every day. It's one of those hobbies that's a big commitment. But I enjoy the rewards I get, especially with the stress of getting in front of my fish tank and just relaxing and watching my fish is something that's really been a tremendous. And it can be anything. I mean, some people or drawing pictures, writing poems. I mean, whatever. Make sure that you give it to appreciate that with all the.
Tyrus, I'm understanding there's a little bit of a technical issue here. I have a question here. If you're able to get off, not a viewer question, but from our host here at Premier Collectibles, can you get off Wi-Fi and use data instead, just to clear the connection, maybe, to try and make it so it's a little bit more seamless? What do you think? Why don't you try that, Tyrus? Try getting off of Wi-Fi and using data. I think that should make a difference. In the meantime, we're here talking about Just Tyrus. Tyrus's brand new memoir comes out tomorrow officially. You can get a signed copy of it right here, right now at Premier Collectibles, and you can have that shipped off to you pronto for you as a gift. It's going to be, he'll be coming back on in a minute. But it really is the easiest way to get a signed copy of a book that a lot of people are talking about. I want to read you one other quote on the back here. Looks like Tyrus, you are back. Is that using data as opposed to Wi-Fi? Still a little bit of a lag there. Can you hear me okay, Tyrus? While we get the technical side set, I want to read one other blurb on the back of the book. This is from Snoop Dogg, who Tyrus worked for a number of years, serving as his bodyguard. There are a lot of great stories in the book about that. Snoop wrote, George, a.k.a. Tyrus, a.k.a. the realest, most blunt human being on the face of planet Earth. Never had a problem telling you what was on his mind or how he felt, good or bad. Tough exterior, but a heart of gold. Frontliner, great friend, and excellent coach for my youth football team. His work ethic is obvious, taking him from football to bodyguard to pro wrestler to a superb personality on Fox News. I've seen him climb the ladder of success, and I'm happy that I was along for the journey. Snoop Dogg. So again, another really powerful quote about Tyrus's brand new memoir called Just Tyrus. Tyrus, are you back? Can you hear me okay? It looks like we're having some kind of connectivity issue here. We've got some questions we'll get to as soon as Tyrus gets back online here. But in the meantime, I have to tell you, working on this book with Tyrus, I got to see what a lot of people don't get to see, and it was Tyrus confronting a lot of stories in his life for the very first time. Stories in some cases he's never shared with anybody, and so his book really does represent the first time he's confronted a lot of some of the really harder truths in his life, and he has overcome some things, some incredible adversities in his life, and he never really wavered from keeping his eye on the prize, whether it was in football or wrestling or problems in a dysfunctional family growing up. Tyrus always had this drive and this inner ability to kind of stay focused and get things done that needed to get done. Now it looks like he's coming back in here. Tyrus, if you can hear me, let me know. Otherwise, I can keep chatting for a little bit here. Again, the book is called Just Tyrus, available. Technical issues or no, you can get a signed copy right now from Tyrus. Tyrus, if you can hear me, let me know because I see you here. Still some lag there. Tyrus, can you hear me? All right, why don't we, yeah, I'm not hearing Tyrus now. I know we've got people watching here and signing up and getting their books and all that. So if you can hang in for just a minute here. Again, the book is called Just Tyrus, out officially tomorrow from Post Hill Press, who did a beautiful job creating a really nice book here. And still not hearing Tyrus. While we're here, though, one other thing to share, the fine writer Walter Kern, who's friends with Tyrus, offered this morning about the book. He says, my good friend Tyrus has written a book, a memoir, filled with true stories he only told his pals, and some he didn't. It's a kick to the solar plexus, powerful, as smart and original as the mind behind it. It's funny, bruising, wise, and it takes you places. Promise. Walter Kern, thank you for that. Really glad you enjoyed Tyrus's book. I echo your comments. I think it is a great read. It's going to take you places that you probably can't imagine. A lot of places not many of us get to go. So we are now, I'm looking at a split screen, and I think we're trying to get Tyrus back on here. We'll hopefully have you in just a minute. Thanks for your patience here. Tyrus, can you hear me? I see you back in there. Still having some technical issues here. But if you've got your book ordered and signed, it'll still get to you. We do have some questions in the queue here we'll get to as soon as we resolve our technical issue here. Olivia, that's probably a good idea. Thank you. We're going to take a Hey,
Hello.
Tyrus. Hey, how's that? Now, can you hear me?
Hey, I got you.
Okay, if I say wave your hand, how long does that take to come over?
That's fine.
It's funny. It still seems like there's a drag on it.
So
But yeah, it's weird. We can try it, but it's still delayed. And people that were
okay.
watching,
I'm just
yeah, it's the same issue right now. God, what could this be? You do this in your office, right? Like you've done this in there with video. Hmm. Hey, Tyrus. All right, so we're back here talking about Just Tyrus, Tyrus's new memoir, much talked about memoir. We're having a few technical issues here. Tyrus, can you hear me right now? We apologize to everyone at home. This does happen, obviously. We still live at a time where a weak signal can do this, and it can happen anyway. I am on here alone now. We're going to get Tyrus back hopefully in just a minute. We are talking about Just Tyrus, his just released memoir from Post Hill Press. I got to work on this book with Tyrus, very much his story, his voice, his storytelling. I kind of helped organize a little bit as writer to writer, and I was super impressed, not just by Tyrus's vivid recall of things he went through as a child, as an adult, but his descriptive abilities were very powerful as well. And he takes you right into the backstage arenas during his WWE career. He puts you, on the road with Snoop, and you really feel like you're taking these adventures with him and living his life. So it's, I think, there are a lot of stories in here that people are going to be blown away by, and taking him all the way up to date to what he does now on Fox News with Greg Gutfeld and all the other hosts on Fox that have created this sort of great connection with Tyrus and have these great conversations with him. So we are still waiting for Tyrus back. Um, we'll sit here for another couple of minutes. If you want to get your signed book here at Premier Collectibles, you can do that today. I don't know of too many events coming up in the near future. This is a great way to get your book signed for you or as a gift. I know Tyrus has a lot of fans out there that really run the gamut in terms of age groups and demographics. One of the things I love working with Tyrus is you realize he's a guy who does appeal to a lot of different kinds of people, in large part because of his no nonsense, common sense attitude about life and politics and sports and whatever it is he's talking about. I think makes his book so appealing as well, because a lot of people can relate to it. So why don't we, as we're waiting here, Olivia, if you can take us offline again, take us off stage, we'll give this one more shot. Folks, stay tuned. We'll do our best to get Tyrus back here for you. If we don't do it now, we'll reschedule, I promise. But we are talking about Just Tyrus, Tyrus's brand new memoir out tomorrow from Post Hill Press. Super excited about this. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute. Olivia, if you can take us offline. Are we back?
Hello? Yeah, looks like it.
Tyrus, you're there.
Yep.
How you doing?
A lot better than this signal is.
Well, listen, it's never too late to get back and talk about your new book. Just Tyrus comes
Right.
out tomorrow from Post Hill Press. Tyrus, before we were so rudely interrupted by technology a few minutes ago, you and I were talking about, or I was actually going to bring up to you that I got to see these really vulnerable sides in you and talking about your story and things that you've never shared before. What was it like to go back, especially to your childhood, and confront some things that are really brutal, things that you overcame, things that you tenaciously fought off and always kind of stayed focused? What was that like to finally come to terms with those things that happened in your youth?
Most of them I had just kind of like really just put behind me and haven't given much thought to. And it was painful. It wasn't some woke stuff where I needed a safe space afterwards or anything like that. But it's frustrating to think about it at times, and then not always hear old issues come out when you talk about your childhood. Because I was raised with my mother, and I was also very protective of her in this book. You know, I don't believe in like what we always see in movies, depictions of people being evil people in every sense of the word. Mistakes are made and circumstances in life, and we forget that everyone has a good side. And so that was really what I did when your childhood. But just my reactions and stuff, and how mine had a lot to do with dictating with my destructive environment. I tend to create chaos. And when I was in an environment with structure, and I was, pretty much everyday kids. So environment had a lot to do with my. Never easy to go back and look at things like honestly. It's kind of sugarcoat stuff or better light than what you really are. I think you do that when you're a child, but once you get to be able to own stuff a little bit.
Well, look, you own it, you confront it, you run from nothing in this book. And that's one of the things that really impressed me, watching you go back in time, recreate these things. But there are these other moments, and there are heroes in this book, people that affected you very deeply. Why don't you talk a little bit about Dusty Rhodes and what that was like for you, and what his role in your life signified? Because you're a lot of different people in this book. You're the football player, you're the bodyguard, you're the wrestler, you're the Fox News guy. But as a wrestler, he really had an impact, not just on your wrestling, but you as a man, didn't he?
Well, we were very similar in terms of like the way we looked at the world, and a lot of self-reliance and a lot of wanting to be the guy when everybody around you thinking you should be the kind of a thing. And I always respected about Dusty. Dusty was a rebel, was every sense of the word. And our relationship didn't.
Freezing up a little bit here. Oh, there we go. Tyrus, we're having a little bit more technical issue in the connection. Talking about Dusty Rhodes, of course, famous wrestling icon who took you under his wing and really kind of showed you the ropes, as it were, when you were coming up. See if this line will clear. A couple of questions that we're going to get to as soon as we can wrap up that question.
He kind of big leagued me a little bit, and so I didn't like that very much. A chance the first time was me and my Deep South developmental WWE developmental, and my coach and head was Bill DeMont, and that Dusty Rhodes was coming to the school that day, or the training facility, however you want to call it, that he would times so I could meet Dusty Rhodes because he knew how much he meant. And I was really excited about it, like what I was going to say. And I had been lucky, so I got to meet like Sergeant Slaughter. He was awesome. He called me a man, and I was so excited about that. And some of the other greats had come speak to a little time special, and I was in that when he came in, and he had a Texas Longhorn hat, and I don't know if they're acid wash. I don't know what they're faded as some kind of jeans, but some cowboy. He had some chuckers on, and he came. He took Bill DeMont. Was like, "Hey, Dusty, this is," and at the time I was G. This is G. Rilla, man. He's a big fan of yours and whatever you. And Dusty me up down and goes, "Well, I only meet stars, baby." And I immediately was like, the book of this guy, and just kind of feeling like a complete mess. And smirked at me, and I kind of walked out of the office, and I was just like, I hate, and I was like, all other and friends as a child, I wish to take back now. And Ric Flair was better anyway. Like I was heated, I was upset, and we really didn't. We met again, probably a few moved to Florida. Now I was on tutelage of Dr. Tom Pritchard and the great Dr. Tom Pritchard. And he's a fan. He was like, "You gonna move your big ass from the fan?" And I was like, "You should have got a better seat." Started laughing, and he was just sat down because I do what we call a hold. I would just kind of hang out, and we all just shit. And Dusty, the American Dream, Rhodes is sitting while I'm holding court, just with us, and finally asked him a smart ass question about superstar Billy Graham, and it just went from there. And next thing I know, it we turned into like at least an hour and a half conversation. And we very rarely talked about wrestling. He was just talking and having problems in relationships, and and just it just kind of went fired several months right before I came down. And came to one of the shows that we had house show to see me promo or whatever, and after thinking of me more than anyone, that you got the gift, you slick to an oil can, and I was like, yeah, I could make a lollipop. I know them all. So it just really kind of started from there, and then I got fired because not everybody saw Dusty's what Dusty saw. Everybody else say, we'll just put it that way. But and then when he was the head of development in terms of like your promos and stuff, and like so, and then when I came back, it was like I was with him. It was really just kind of morphed and changed. Like, it was like I was going to see in a way a Sarah every day, but
well. Your book, Just Tyrus, there are
you should, and I
a little bit of a connection thing here. Tyrus, there are a lot of second chance stories in your book. Things that you, like you say, you get fired from there, but you make it back as a wrestler. Another one of the relationships in your book, which contains some really great stories, involves Snoop, and not just your role as his bodyguard, but ultimately, when you go back to him after leaving wrestling again, you become, it's one of my favorite portions of the book, you become a youth coach in his football league. And you really find this kind of new aspect of your personality as a coach, as somebody who can work with youth, have great results. Talk about that a little bit, because at the banquet dinner that year you became coach, you had a big surprise that happened. That it was one of those moments where you and I were talking during the making of your book. You got choked up when you recalled what happened that night. Why don't you tell us about that night?
Well, I had went to Nebraska at Kearney and had a degree in after several other different degrees, but I finished up with a degree in education with the so kids was purview was in school and a school team. I was going to glorified P coach and probably and teach history and eventually some point. So it was something that was in my, but I given it much thought. Bodyguarding, my degree, and it was just kind of my happenstance where I have an office lineman thing, a leader thing. When you see people doing the wrong things consistently, it drives you crazy. You just supposed to step with his right foot, left steps, and that horrible footwork.
Right.
It was driving me crazy and involved. I'm supposed to stay out of those things. I'm supposed to watch, make sure no one messes with Snoop. And I finally I just, hey man, can I have just 1 minute? Just damn it, give me son, you got to step this way. And I said, think about it. He said, who's John? Walk like a penguin, like get your toes in. And if you point him in your stance, when you come out of your stance, so your feet will be straight. His defensive coordinator, assistant head coach. You're so smart. Well, why don't you run? Just give me any 5 guys and give me a couple out of them, and we'll see what we can do. Just to kick you. Came kind of like back and forth, kind of, and so it's kind of just in the distance, and we went to do our when they went to team scrimmage, we got about a couple breaks. Came back the line, and he was upset, and it was with guards. Let's just put it that way. And the next day when I showed, he's no, you watching today, man. I need you to coach the line. And just you coaching. I want to have other guys coach everybody. You need to focus on the kids. You need to do that footwork thing that you did with the kids. And and I was coaching the offensive line for him. It was good because it helped me in a lot of ways. Because I was never passionate about it, but it wasn't I wanted to do. I made great money. I mean, phenomenal money,
right.
But I just
losing signal a little bit here, it looks like. Hopefully it comes back, because I want you to tell people about that dinner after the first season that you coached. I may have to finish the story. Tyrus here talking about his book, Just Tyrus. There's a little bit of a connection issue with the internet coming out of where he's at, but you can get your book. Oh, there you go.
Somebody else live.
Reminder, if you're watching, this is a live signing. You can purchase the book right now. Despite the internet connection, Tyrus will definitely sign your book and have that off to you in just a little while for yourself or as a gift. Now is the time to get a signed copy of Just Tyrus, which has been doing unbelievably well on Amazon even before its release. A lot of chatter about this book, a lot of interest, and with good reason. There are some incredible stories in it about a life remarkably lived by Tyrus. And I'm hoping the signal will come back to life, because there is a great payoff to this story of Tyrus becoming a youth football coach for Snoop and really excelling and really whipping these kids into shape and being part of a program that, if you don't know, Snoop's junior football program is really very successful and very impressive. Gives kids a shot at playing competitive football in a very organized, very positive, productive scenario, and Tyrus becomes part of that world after bodyguarding for Snoop. And it looks like we've lost Tyrus again. I'll give it a second here and see if he comes back. Again, apologize for this. It does happen. This is the world we live in today. But you can still order a copy of Just Tyrus, Tyrus's brand new memoir from Post Hill Press here on Premier Collectibles. Tyrus will sign that book for you, and you will have it in just a few days. This is the best way to get a signed copy for yourself or friends and family who are big fans of Tyrus. And I'm sure you know somebody that loves this guy. Tyrus has had a remarkable few years, really kind of springboarding from all of his sports success, football coach, wrestler, into Fox News, where he's become a very highly thought of voice of reason, and here he's back. How's that, Tyrus? Tyrus, if you hear me, why don't you tell folks what happened after that first season of coaching at that dinner? That's where we left people.
We ended up, we went undefeated. We played, we won a championship, and Thaddeus Bullard, who you guys would know as Thaddeus and WWE. But I had one of the great speeches ever. My kids, 13 years, and they were a little worried, and I gave them the speech to us, but I gave one. Most parents would probably not, but my little guys went out there and they did a dirty off trick. I could possibly done, and I've soaking on now. As getting old in life, he was a starting cornerback. He was into it. The guy probably outweighed him by 50 pounds, but the guy was so willing to beat him up, and there you go. But so when we had the awards dinner, pretty much the award is the league's award. Usually what do every year. Be there, and I had to be offensive linemen, their families and stuff. When they coach of the year, or what I think it was, looking down at my shift and shocked. I just couldn't believe it, and I walked up, ending the award, and handed to me, and again. Spelled and that's all. It was weird. It was I was emotionally choked up. It was the bad was award, and I was not supposed to be a bodyguard, and that really getting my own thing, chasing other where aspect of things. It was my life was kind of awakening. I wasn't necessarily still listening to it yet at that point.
Well, Tyrus, I know we're having a little kind of breakup issues here. Based on what I heard you say a minute ago,
it was
through the course of your book and Just Tyrus, what I learned working with you here, see if you can
other guys
out.
Pass this.
It's kind of frozen up. What I was going to say, Tyrus, you're somebody throughout the course of your life, you do what you have to do to survive, whether it's being a bodyguard, a wrestler. you're able to adapt in all these different worlds. And that to me is really the essence of your book, Just Tyrus, how you survive and how you get through everything by being instinctive and acting on your abilities and pushing yourself over and over. I think that to me is the real theme of your book, is how hard you push yourself to not just survive, but to thrive. And it's one of the more exciting elements of your book, is I think people can take from it. We've all got, moments in our life we need to step up and do things and take charge and take action. You've done that so many times. I think your book is a primer to help inspire people to do that. So as we, what I'm thinking is, Tyrus, given the technical issues today, we need to do this again. I think kind of with a hard reset in the next couple of days. There were some great questions from people who bought your book that we want to get to in another edition of this. But Olivia, given the, I think we're having some more issues here. We do want to let people know they can still order Just Tyrus, get their own, personally signed copy today from Tyrus. Should be sent right off to you. Tyrus, if we can connect one more time, anything you want to leave the people with here today? Any thought about your book coming out now? Just get what it feels like to be an author now, and what do you think people will take from your book? Give it one more second to see.
Well, I'd just like to say that one, this was really great, and so I'm excited. I'm excited that I was able to writing coach Chris really was probably talk about this no more and ask me about whatever, but it really inspired me. And anytime you're in a situation, you were really good.
Oh, thanks, man.
I have to put it, you instilled in me into the next book. So was so good because you challenged me so much. And, I really respected that. It wasn't a, hey, I'm just going to help this guy get through this book. You have a story, and I'm gonna great learning environment. Jump on. It really does make a difference, and glad that it's deals with people who in interior world and meal cram something to some people, and if those get off the ground and trying something new and not being afraid to fail. Appeals to you, and this is the book.
Well, Tyrus, thank you for your kind words, man. It's an honor to work with you, and you inspire me in all new ways. Listening to you, watching you, you've definitely helped shape my view of the world and how I approach things. So thank you right back at you. Everybody, check out Tyrus's book, Just Tyrus. We'll do this again with a fresher connection because there's a lot more to be heard from this guy. Tyrus is a remarkable guy with an incredible story. You will enjoy this book. Get a signed copy today right here from premiercollectibles.com/Tyrus. Tyrus, I will talk to you soon. Thank you, my friend, for letting me be a part of your world and helping you with this incredible book. Good luck on much success that I know is coming for you on this.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe.